Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I'm George. We're all George. So Merry Christmas to all. Hopefully you had a nice time off with your family or friends and you had a really Merry Christmas. In today's video, I wanted to highlight what's going on with Bitcoin. Starting with this interview between Mark Cuban and Bill Mayer. And Mark Cuban basically called gold investors dumb as F. And why did he do this? Well, he interviewed with Bill, and basically Bill was arguing that Bitcoin is not a store of value and gold is, and that's why he likes gold better. And Mark makes the argument that gold, for most people, they're not even holding gold. They're holding paper gold. So that's not even a real store of value. But if you were holding real bars of gold, and there was some kind of apocalypse or catastrophe where you did actually need to use that bar of gold, you'll probably have the S beat out of you and the bar of gold taken, right? And after Mark made these arguments, he went on and said that people who are buying gold, they haven't seen any kind of appreciation. It's not really a store value or a hedge against inflation. It's perceived store value and hedge at this point, and so is Bitcoin. So he much rather hold Bitcoin, and Mark says he wishes Bitcoin to go down further so he can buy more. That is certainly the right mindset, and I do agree. At this point in time, gold just does not seem like it's a good store of value or a good hedge against inflation. Just look at its performance for last decade, and you'll see that it's not good at neither one of these things. Bitcoin is the future. So I actually enjoyed that interview quite a bit. But if you want to watch the whole thing, I'll put a link in the description for you to check out. Now, as for other goodness, well, take a look at this. I think this really lays Bitcoin's future out really well. Why Bitcoin keeps on appreciating, why the 4-year cycle is important, is because of this. Just take a look. When Bitcoin came out, the miners can find about 50 Bitcoins per block. Okay? And in that 4-year cycle, wow, 10.5 million were mined. But then look at the next cycle when it got cut. The inflation rate got cut into 25 Bitcoin per block. Then, in total, the cycle only produced about 5.25 million. Then in 2016, you can see that was cut into 12.5. In 2020, the last one was cut to 6.25. And the one that we're looking forward to in 2024 will cut the inflation rate down to 3.125. And after that cycle starts, there will only be 656,000 Bitcoin mined in total for 4 years. But then just look at what happens afterwards. In 2028, inflation rate will be cut to 1.56 per block. Then you get less, 0.78 per block, then 0.39 per block. And you can see the Bitcoin mined per cycle starts dropping off dramatically. And that's over a 4-year cycle. That's not like a 1-year cycle, right? So as Bitcoin moves forward, it gets more scarce. Less of it gets mined by the miners, so there's very, very, very little that's hitting the markets. And I could argue right now, very little are hitting the markets from the miners because for the most part, they're holding everything. They're hoarding everything. And you still have big financial institutions that's buying Bitcoin in order to be able to trade it and sell it. So this is the reason why the 4-year cycle is so important. And if you look at this as it keeps expanding into the future, you'll see how rare Bitcoin becomes, right? So whatever's there right now on the exchanges, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much what everyone's fighting for, because in the future, there is no more Bitcoin, right? Yeah, I mean, you go out to let's say 2040, which I know seems like so far ahead, but really not that far, maybe 18 years, 17 years, right? There's only going to be 0.195 Bitcoin found per block. And that's all the miners out there fighting over that, right? And very little of it is going to be released starting from that point on, and of course going into the future, right? So this is important, very, very important, and why you don't want to give up. Other good things that's going on right now, Bitcoin, yes, has been pretty stagnant, but it is still, according to charts, it's holding basically where the last cycle's top was, right? And from a technical perspective, this is pretty good. This is what you want Bitcoin to do, to kind of hold at that level, right? And build a base and continue forward. But volatility is at an all-time low right now. Very, 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 very low, right? And that could be a great thing. We are seeing now how Bitcoin is a leading indicator of tech and markets. So Bitcoin always bottoms out first. And, well, it could go both ways, bottom or top. But Bitcoin is a leading indicator. So if Bitcoin's volatility is low, it found that bottom and it continues forward, right? And it goes upwards. Well, that's a great thing, because that means the U.S. markets and other markets around the world could be following Bitcoin's lead in 2023. So volatility is all-time low, which I would argue is fantastic. And of course, addresses with more than one Bitcoin, you could see is skyrocketing up. This is fantastic. This is what we want to see. I just got done talking about the Bitcoin on the exchanges, what's left over. More and more of what's left over is going into the hands of people that are holding, DCAing over long term. And not only that, they're going to the hands of people that are now self-custody, that's taking control of their own crypto. That Bitcoin is in self-custody wallets. And that's also fantastic, right? So these are all amazing things, That is why Bitcoin is going to lead the way. And I would argue some of the fundamentals like this, addresses with more than one Bitcoin, has never been higher. Some of the fundamentals could be argued it is greater now, right, than before. Greater now than ever been before, right? So this is fantastic. Fantastic stuff. All right, guys, that is pretty much for this video. So right now, Bitcoin is kind of stagnant. I would argue that's okay. There's still low volume. A lot of people on vacation, not back yet, but we have a lot to look forward to this week. And we see that Santa rally this final week of the year and what is going to happen in 2023. Smash the like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.